All right. Today we will talk about database concept, and if time permits, we will go on to database architecture and data independence. So, in database concept, we'll try to cover uh, the data models, schemas, instances. What are those concepts about? Now, before we go into all of those details, database evolves, database changes from database used to be highly integrated. At one point of time, database is an integrated database system. That means it is one single software where everything about the database is all integrated as a single component. Why this happened when it started off, the database is integrated, is because we have, uh, at one point of time, we have mainframe computers. So these mainframe computers are usually standalone computers that do not connect with, even if it connects also, does not share the processing capacity with other mainframe computers. That is why those databases, the earliest form of database, were meant for mainframe computers. So accordingly, it was integrated type of database system. Now, as time goes on, these mainframe computers are being replaced with smaller and more powerful computers. Then comes the concept of the concept of client server, that we have a server, and within that server we have so many clients. For example, this is a server, then we have so many clients, so multiple number of clients. So in this type of setup, what happen is that if you have a database, then that database should also have certain aspect or certain modules which can be accessed by these clients. Okay, so that is why the database becomes more modular. From an integrated system, the database becomes more of multiple modules which are being kept together. Now, for example, if the server uh, the client module is typically designed so that it can be run on workstations, okay, some workstations, or the computer, the users computer, okay, users computer, and a multiple number of those users computer or workstation. Now, normally what happens is that in this modular structure, which follows the client-server model, what happens is that you have the major components, like the client-side module handles things like storage of data, the database itself, then access, then searching, then similar other functions, which is part of the database system. And the client side, as we said, are usually user interface, where the user is allowed to interface with the server to store, to access, or to search, or use some other function. So that way, it becomes, the database evolved from an integrated system to a much more modular system. Now, if you look, as we have said, that this trend is following the same way the computer systems evolve from mainframe to modular structure. That means from network structure, from a mainframe integrated system to more of a network structure. So accordingly, the database also evolves. So that is why, compared to the earlier form of database system, today's database systems are much more modular in nature. Now, Uh, there are concepts like when you talk about database, there you will come across data models. Okay, so what is this data model or data models? Now, one fundamental characteristic of database approach is that it provides some level of data abstraction. Okay, this is very fundamental about the database system, data abstraction. Now, these data abstractions, what does it do? What is the purpose of this data abstraction? It hides it hides the details about the database system, and then it shows only the part uh, which is necessary for the users. So it is not that suppose you have this very complex database system, okay, and then every time you access, you have to see all of these modules, A, B, C, D modules, or n number of modules. It is not that you have to see all of this, because when you see every part of the database system, it becomes overwhelming for the users and it's difficult to understand. So the idea is that by doing data abstraction, certain part of the details about the database system will be hidden. For example, a user wants to see uh, a part of the database system. Then, for example, the user wants to see A, then the user will see only A. Then B, C, D, and N, all of those things will be hidden. So this is one purpose of a data abstractions. Now, a data model is a collection of concepts, okay, that can be used to describe the structure of a database. So when we say data model, we are talking about a collection of concepts which are used to describe the structure of database. What does it do? That structure of database, okay, structure of database which will be used to achieve abstraction, okay, that will achieve data abstraction. So in order to have this data abstraction, we have data models, which is a collection of concepts which define the structure of the database in order to achieve the data abstraction. Now, by structure, when we say structure of a database system, what is a structure of a database system? So by a structure of database system, we are talking about data types. For example, we are talking about relationships. For example, when I say data types, you will record that, for example, alphabetical, for example. Alphabetical is one type of data type. It can be numerical, or it can be alphanumerical, a combination of alphabets and numbers, alphanumerical, or it can be simply decimal numbers, or it can be integers, long and short, long integers, short integers, and so on. There are so many different types of different data types, which is by default supported by the computer system. So one of the component of a structure is data type. Then relationship, for example. Relationship means the relation between one data element or one data to another. For example, we have a student, and then on the other side we have department. So in order to find out which student belongs to which department, we need to set a relationship. because these are two different files. So we set a relationship, and we also define how this will be related. So that means a student, for example, can have only one department, but department can have multiple students. So that kind of relationship is also part of the structure. Then we also have, when we talk about the structure, we are also talking about constraints. So in database system, we will keep talking about constraints. So as we said in the previous classes, when we talk about the uh, integrity, why integrity, how integrity can be maintained, it is through constraints. For example, one constraint can be if name of a student, we put a constraint that all names will be alphabets. Okay, alphabets. Then whenever you input student name, if you use 1, 2, 3, then the system will say there is error. You can use only alphabets. Just like when you create a password in order in a website, for example, then what happen is in order to make your password strong, the system or the site will ask you to include numbers, alphabets, uh, capital letter, small letter, and then some character, and at least all of it should be not less than 8 character. Those are constraints. Constraints that helps in the database system. So without constraint, probably we will have too much of error, too much of uh, unreliability. So constraints are helpful in the database system. So structure of a database system includes data types, relationship, and constraints. So that should hold for the data. So not only that, most data also includes basic operations. Okay, also have basic operations. All right, let me just try to erase some part. All right, so it have operations. Now operations, database can also have operations for specifying, for example, default operation is what can you do with the database system? What operations can you perform? One default and basic operation would be retrieval, for example. That means you would like to retrieve something from the database system, all right? You want to retrieve, you search and find and then retrieve something. Or you would like to, whenever there is a change, you would like to update it, okay? Update, for example, somebody's marks, whenever you enter marks, you are entering, you are doing an update. Or whenever you are making correction, you are making an update. Every day, the library software, for example, gives an issue return. In the circulation section, whenever you borrow books, the system will update it. Update that you have returned or borrowed books from the library system. That is update function. So these are also operations. And then there are so many other things, not only retrieval and update, but there are other things also. So the database also has most data models. Okay, most models also specifies that operations that can be performed on the database system. Now, in addition to these operations, there are some models which specifies the dynamic or the behavior of a database application, which allows a database designer to specify user-defined operations. Okay, user-defined operations, well, not default operations, but operations which can be very complex but defined by the users, and which can be used on the database system. So such things are also there. For example, when you want to find out what is the average age of the students, for example, then you are performing some kind of operation which most probably will be defined by the users, which specifies how to calculate the uh, average age of the uh, students. Now, coming to the, I mean, there are, as we talk about database system models, there are different categories of data models. I mean, it's not that we have, one model and all the database management system is following uh, the same model. No, it is not. Every database management system may be slightly different from the other. So this is what we call the database model. Now, many models have been proposed, but in order to have some idea about these different models, we will describe according to the types of concepts they are used to describe this database structure. As we have said, concepts, okay, we said database models are concepts used to describe the structure. All right. Now, there are high level, or number one, we can say high level or conceptual data model. Now, these provides concepts that are very close to the way the users perceive. So whenever we say high level, we are talking about something which is close to the users. Okay. When we say low level, we are talking about something which is close to how the storage, how computers store things in the system. So when we say, again, I repeat, when we say high, we are talking about something that is close to how a user will look at the or perceive the data. So it provides concepts that is easily understandable by the users. And then, like I said, when we say low level, when we say low level, we are talking about how the computer store data, the database. Okay. Now, then in between this high and low level, there is one level of data model which is called representational. Okay, representational, which is not very extremely high or extremely low, but somewhere in between. Representational model, which provides concepts that can be understood by the users. Okay, which can be understood by the users, but which is not very far away from how the computer stores it, how computer stores a database system. So it is in between these two. Okay. Now, there is something called conceptual model. Conceptual model. Conceptual model use concepts like in data models. There is one category of conceptual models. Here they use concepts like uh, entities, and then concepts like attributes and relationships. Okay, so entities, attributes, and relationships. Now, what is an entity? An entity represents the real world object. Okay, entity represents the real world object. Real world object. For example, when we say the real world object, we may be talking about an entity can be, as our favorite example is student. Student is an entity. So in the real world, there is such a thing, such an entity as students. Okay. So this real world entity is represented in the database system. And this is one way of looking at how the database, these conceptual models handle, views that the database system. Then we have the attributes. What is an attribute? It represents some property that an entity represents, or describes the entity. Okay, so we have entity like students. So how is a student described? Student is described by attributes. Okay, so what are the attributes? For example, attributes can be name, roll number, okay, roll number, department, and so on. So those are the attributes. These attributes describe the entity called students. So student is entity, attributes are those things that describe the student. Now we also have relationship. Now relationship among two or more entities represent an association. Like I said, we have department. So department will also have attributes like department is another entity, name of the department, for example, head of the department, okay, or maybe things like location of the department. Now, there has to be some kind of relationship between this, because we will have multiple number of students. We have, let us say, roll number one, roll number so and so, up to n is 1 to n. It belongs to, for example, belongs to the department called Library Information Science. Then roll number 50 to n is economics, or roll number 100 to n is commerce, for example. Now, so in this way, what I am doing here is that I'm using roll number as a means to have a relationship, a connection between student and the department. So this is one way of, one simple example of how relationships can be represented. Now, relationship can be in many ways. There are so many other different types of relationship. We will deal with this in detail in the coming classes. Now, coming to the The next model, which we say is in between the high and the low, what we call it representational. Okay, representational models. When these representational models are also called implementation models, data models. These models are the models used most frequently in the traditional commercial database management system. One of the most popular database system is a relational data model, probably the most popular database model. So this relational data model is known as this representation model. Now, we will also discuss these things in detail. Then we have others like object data models, which is comparatively, compared to relational models, these object data models are new, or it is of a higher level implementation data models that are closer to the conceptual data models, but not the conceptual data models, and so on. Then finally we have the physical data models. Now, these physical data models describe how data is stored stored as file in the computer by representing information such as like uh, record format and record ordering, for example, access part, that is how to access those stored database, and so on. So an access part, for example, is a structure that makes a physical storage technique an access structure. Okay, that describes all of those things. So these are the different data models that you will come across when we talk about the concepts of database system. Data models. Okay. Now let us come to the schemas, instances, and database state. Now, in order to, in any model, it is important to distinguish between two things. Let me just increase this to make it more visible. Okay. It is important to distinguish between two descriptions. Sorry. Description of the database, all right, and the database itself. So it means that there are two distinctive things in a database system. One is description of the database, and the other is the database itself. That is where you store the values, and descriptions describe the database, the structure, the design, how the database will behave, how will it look like, how will it be seen, how will it be operated upon. All of those things are known as description of the database. And then you have the stored value itself, that is called the database itself. So it is important to distinguish between these two. Now, this description is also called, the description of database is also called database schema. All right. So it is also called database schema. Now, which specifies during the design. Usually this description is done at the time of design. During the design. At the time of designing the database, description of the database is done. Now, and this description or the database schema is not expected to change. Okay, not expected to change frequently. We cannot say that it not to change at all, but it is not expected to change frequently. But the database itself may change. Okay, it may change frequently. Sorry. For example, your issue return record will keep on changing every time a student is returning a book or getting a book issued. It will keep on changing. So there is a difference between the two. So most data models have entertained conventions of display schema diagram. Okay, there are some conventions. Most data models, okay, have conventions of having a schema diagram. That means displaying how the how the database will look like, how database will be seen, which we call it the schema diagram or diagrams. Now, a display schema, okay, if you are using some diagrams to display the schema or the design of the database system, it is called a schema diagram. Okay, it's called a schema diagram. Now, if you look at this this example, this I have taken from the book Fundamentals of Database System by Elmelsri and Nawat. Here you will see this is a schema diagram where we have student and the entity student. Then it has a name of the attributes are name, student number or roll number, class, major, and so on. Similarly, course name, course number, and so on. So we call each object in the schema, such as student and course, as schema construct. For example, this and this is known as schema construct. All right. So a schema displays only some aspect. This schema is display only not everything, but only some aspects of a schema, such as names of record types, data items, and some other types of constraints. But in a schema diagram, so many things will not be about the design, will not be displayed. Many types of constraints will not be seen in the schema diagram, or relationship among files may not be seen in the schema diagram. For example, like how much students score in a particular course is not visible, represented in a schema diagram. Now, the actual database may change quite frequently, as I said in the beginning, earlier. For example, in a database, every time you add a student, for example, we add a student, ABC is a student, roll number is LIS1, let us say class is first sem, major is library information science, so CDE is another student, his or her roll number is 2, class is again first sem, then subject is library information science. So we can keep on adding like that. Now, every time we are adding the student or we are making changes to the uh, data under the student, then we are making, we are making changes to the database. Okay, there is frequent changes. Now, every time there is a change, that at this moment we have how many? We have only 2 students. So at this moment or instance, we have 2 students. So that is called a database state. So when I said a database state or a snapshot, I'm talking about what is the condition, the values of the database at this moment. That is called a database state or a snapshot. And it is also called current set of occurrences, or sometimes this is more popular, it is also called as instances. Okay, the current state is also called instances. Now, the distinction between database schema and the database state is also very important. Okay, now we know what is a database state. That is the current set of value is a database state or a snapshot or instance. Therefore, it is important to differentiate between what is a database state and what is a database schema. So we have a database state, and then we have a database schema. So it is important to distinguish between these two. Now, when we define a new database, we specify the schema only to the database. So when we are defining a database, that means when we are designing and writing a database, okay, then we are doing the we are defining the schema, database schema to the database system. So at this point, the corresponding database state is database state, this one. Okay, the database state is empty. Why is it empty? Because we are just designing the database. When we define the database schema, that is, in other words, when we are writing the design or designing the database, we are, our database is empty. Nothing is included. But the moment we started entering, we finished the schema, and then we started entering data, or in other words, sometimes they call it populated. Okay, populated, or when we load it, when we started loading, that is entering name of the students, roll numbers, when we started entering that, then only we will have a database state or database instance, initial data. Okay, so at any point of time, the database will be in a current state. As I said earlier, the current state or the current instance is a set of value which is there in the database at a given point of time. So this current state should always be in a valid state. They said these are all jargons that you will come across in any database management system books. We're just trying to make it understandable. So if the current state or the set of values you have entered or make an entry in the database system should be in a valid state, which means that it should be free from error. Okay, simply said in layman terms, it should be error-free, because it should satisfy the schema, the database schema. There are certain constraints, so all of those things should be satisfied. It should be free from error. And then the database store the description of the schema construct and schema the description of how database will look like. In other words, we call it schema construct, plus the constraints. What are the constraints which is defined for the database system in it is stored, the DB store it, these two things, the schema construct and the constraints, and this is collectively called metadata. In other words, we also call it data about data. So metadata is a catalog, so that the DMS software catalog which is used by the database system software whenever it needs. The schema sometimes, the schema is also called intentions, and then the database state. Again, coming back here, this schema this schema, the schema is sometimes called intention. These are all words, okay, intention, and that database state is called extension. So this is another terminology which is used in a database management system. So as we have said earlier, the schema is not supposed, the database schema, the design is not supposed to change frequently. That doesn't mean that it will not change at all. It changes. Sometimes it changes. Change is inevitable. We cannot are, how books are organized in your bibliographical database system is already predefined, and that should not change frequently unless there is a software update which is necessary. But the database state, the value which is stored in the database system, like issue return, new students, old students, all of those things will keep on changing. So that we have to keep in mind. So as we said, this database schema will not change that frequently, but in due course of times, it will change. Okay, nothing is free from change. In due course of time, it will change. So why? Because the real world changes. There are changes in the real world, and as we said, as we already understand, the database should correspond with the real world that it represents, because it is, database is representing a part of a real world, which we sometimes call it the mini world. So whenever there is changes, then it has to be, that has to be reflected in the schema design. So with this, we have come to the end of today's class. I hope it is understandable, and thank you very much.